Hello, everybody. Welcome back to just another football podcast. I don't know anything about what happened in Liverpool Villa. I'm literally just back from work. So, George, Fergal, hi, first of all. How are you all doing?
Very well.
Hello.
Fergal, you look energetic.
I'm ready for bed, Ali. Football's taken it out of me. I had to play football tonight and I'm absolutely shattered.
Oh, all right. How was it?
Wasn't good. They had an extra man, we had an extra man and we lost.
Oh, God's sake, Fergal.
You just can't get the players these days. You know, it was piss poor, and I've done all I can. Got a few assists, 4 goals.
You do sound shattered. Okay.
I ran my cotton socks off, Ali.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. Liverpool then.
Feel it in my fingers. Sorry.
Good intro. I feel it in my fingers. Episode title. Liverpool 2, Villa 1. How was the game? First of all, I need a debrief about this. I watched nothing.
Football. I'm after saying it.
Ali, this is really bad because I've not watched it either because I've been working really late.
I haven't even.
I had to.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
I finished work at 9, and then I had to eat. So
okay.
I didn't
no interest in watching Liverpool win
again.
What I will say is I've watched the highlights. And to be honest, it looked as though Aston Villa created some really great chances. Liverpool equally, and I'm adamant that Liverpool don't deserve to win the title yet again. But the reason why is, I mean, the whole sort of narrative is this 2-club thing within England. I think it's it's true to a certain extent, but I think if you look deeper and you go more detailed, it's a 1-club league. It's Man City, then the chasing pack. Liverpool a bit closer, obviously, than Chelsea, but not close enough. The City are just miles ahead at this stage.
Do you think they're miles ahead? I would disagree with that, but I will say we haven't been top at all. Like I was thinking about this after we drew against Tottenham. It's like we didn't lose a top spot necessarily. We haven't been on top for a while. It was in our hands in one stage, but then we had to play City away and got a 2-2 draw, and we're actually quite pleased about it. And we're, in my opinion, still quite lucky to get a draw.
Yeah,
but. And so, yeah, we haven't necessarily lost a lead on the table. City are the ones who lost a 14-point lead, which they had at one stage. But then we couldn't quite catch up. And, yeah, I mean, eight draws is unfortunately 7 draws at one time. When we got the 97 points, it didn't still win the league was too many. 8 draws is always going to be too many if we're up against City. So I get where you're coming from. But
it's not a slew on Liverpool either. I think this Liverpool side in most other Premier League seasons, bar sort of the City dominance this past 4 or 5 years, wins the title. I just think that City are a next level that I don't think people will reach in a very long time.
Do you think Liverpool is the Dortmund to Man City?
Yeah,
Bayern?
absolutely. I mean.
Like Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund, though.
I think we're a little bit more competitive than
Dortmund. You've won one league.
No, but in the fact that Bayern are always the top team, but in that season Dortmund just were that wee bit better. No coincidence that it is Klopp that on both occasions. I get George's point. I'd say it is. I'd say the fact this come down to the last 3 games, and they still have a chance of winning it. I would say that's a 2-club league, and the fact that it is really close, and the fact that Liverpool are miles ahead of the likes of Chelsea.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we are 19 points ahead of Chelsea. It's mad. And we'll get to the rest of the top 4 later with Harry. There'll be a little halftime substitution for George is gonna go out at halftime of this 60-minute podcast and then come back. 60 minutes, the new length of a football match, as suggested by Mark Clattenburg recently. Actually, how it works in university soccer and college soccer here in the US is a countdown. There's no injury time, and then at the end there's like a horn. At least that's how it was in my school, University of Virginia. There's like a horn that sets off after full time when it hits zero. It's like, and that's the game over. I wonder if something like that can be introduced to soccer. I wondered why.
And what did they do? 90 minutes or 60 minutes with that?
60. For in college it's 90 minutes, but I don't think in throw-ins
90 minutes.
It doesn't.
And they stop the timer.
They stop the timer injuries only. So if there's like a free kick, and even if the free kick stoppage is lengthy, it doesn't stop.
Wasting time could be just extreme. So you could take like 20 seconds on a throw-in and probably get booked, but still waste 20 seconds of the match.
Well, yeah,
the game clock. I don't mind reducing it to 60 minutes if you stop the timer for any anything.
I imagine that's what
because the average length of it in-game ball in play is 60 minutes.
Yeah, and the average Premier League game has ball in play for 55 minutes or so 60 wouldn't be so much more removed from actual gameplay time. It's an interesting concept. It will take a lot of time getting used to it, I think. But yeah, let's move on to that. George, you went on this week about how much you would love Leeds to go down, just in normal conversation. Well, guess what? There is a huge possibility.
Yeah.
That may well happen, because they are now in the bottom three. Huge goal difference swing to Burnley. 18 goals, in fact, worse. 18 goals worse. 1 point behind Everton, who have a game in hand and play Watford next. Watford already down. Norwich already down.
Yep.
Interesting. I didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it coming?
Well, I didn't see it coming at all.
I did see it coming after January, I suppose. Me predicting that Leeds would get relegated. But the thing with Leeds is, it's purely clouded by bias. I've got no stats or anything to back up my opinion, but I think they play high margin football, and that can go extremely wrong. Hence the extremely poor goal difference, which is really key for down the bottom, where because you're not picking up many points, the margin is a lot slimmer as well. They've got some tough games left. Brighton have just come into form, beating a few of the big teams, and obviously a 4-0 battering of Man United. That's the game after Chelsea that Leeds have to play, and although Chelsea have dipped in form, you'd hope that they could dismantle a very, very poor Leeds side. I mean, it to me it looks as though it'll be a 2-horse race between Burnley and Leeds at the bottom. See who goes down. Burnley have a difficult game in Spurs as well coming up. It just seems to be whoever can just scrape across the line and pick up maybe even a draw would do, or one win out of the final three. But we'll see.
You know what? I would love to say that Everton are with them in this. I just don't see it anymore. I thought out of hope really that Everton could go down, because just last week I was saying about how Everton deserved to go down more than anyone else, just because of the severe mismanagement that went on, and that kind of thing can't see any success. For me, I think they're the 8th highest wage budget in the Premier League or something like that. 8th highest wage spend, something along those lines. But they very much now look like surviving.
I would say on that as well, Ali, it does show that I think they have the superior quality.
They definitely do.
Rather than superior tactics or a superior manager, it just seems to be just the player quality in big moments, especially with Richarlison pulling them across the line.
And you know what, your point that you mentioned about goal difference and how important that is to the bottom three, the bottom three are the three worst goal differences. Norwich have been down since really the start of the season.
Yeah.
Negative 53, which is just mental. Conceded 75 goals. Scored only 22. Wow. And then Watford are on negative 38. They're already down. Leeds are on negative 35, so not much worse than Watford. And then Burnley are on negative 17. So a tie on points at this stage with 3 games to go is pretty much means that Burnley are going to stay safe. Fergal, any take on that? Do you think Leeds have any chance at all? I know you have a little bit of a soft spot for them, but how does all of that make you feel?
Chance. I mean, all the teams are shite, so like there's no guarantee. That like we're talking about everything. I mean, I've changed my mind every bloody week with it because you think it's got it sorted and then it changes. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's in Everton's favor at the moment. Stay up. And,
I mean, thanks to a win
go
against
clear.
Chelsea.
And then it's Burnley. Burnley have Tottenham, Villa, Newcastle. Leeds have Chelsea. Tell you what, they could get something against us. We're shocking at the moment.
Yeah, you lost Everton. You're shocking, yeah.
Charity FC, yeah.
Charity FC.
This is it, and especially against teams that we sort of have a rivalry against. But we might give out a bit of charity. Then Brighton, Brentford, Villa. It's hard to know what they're going to be playing for at this end of the season. I think Brentford might want to relegate Leeds. That might be their. I saw Ivan Toney retweeted Dallas and Click talking about Thomas Frank.
And mind the gap.
Oh, I wonder, is there a bit of Brentford payback that they want to inflict on Leeds?
I think that's because the season when Leeds went up, they won the championship, of course. Brentford were at the top for some time.
Yeah.
And then Leeds turned it around. So I wonder if I don't remember.
Brentford dropped into the playoffs.
They did, and then lost in the playoffs. So I wonder if there was something that happened then where there was a bit of beef there involved. And then Leeds just...
Well, yeah, I think evidently so. There is.
Yeah.
It's not over. And like they have Leeds have players like Rafinha, Gallagher,
Jonfi.
Dallas is a big miss.
Femoral fracture, which is just a...
I mean, they've had a suspension now as well.
What was Luke Ayling doing?
Oh, silly. Horrible.
He was like right at the corner flag, and I'm sure he was going out for a goal kick.
He lost his head, didn't he? There was a decision or something went against him moments before, and then lost the head. But
you can't lose your head in a relegation scrap like that, and especially in the time as well. It wasn't particularly late on in the game. Ridiculous challenge.
And I'll tell you what, if Leeds have kept their heads a bit and kind of picked themselves, it seemed to me it was weird to watch. Leeds, and I'm going to talk to Harry about the Arsenal side of this later on, in just 10 minutes time or so. But it seemed like if Leeds could have kept their composure a bit, they could have gotten something out of the game. Because while Arsenal kept a lot of the ball, it was because Leeds either were just completely lost their minds, or in the second half just kind of, their body language was... like, it's over now. It felt to me like they were feeling this way until they got the corner and like won the flick on, and then Llorente scores at the back post. I feel like if they'd kept a bit of composure, they could have got something out of this game based on how wasteful Arsenal were with the ball, which they had so much of and just didn't use. But man, masters of their own downfall. And it was weird to watch because Jesse Marsch looked like he was trying to motivate. Like he's so animated on the touchline. He's trying to pick everybody up and things like that and clap, and just the players didn't respond at all. And I wonder, if
he's lost the dressing room already.
Lost the dressing room. Do you want to say that already? Or maybe is it a case of the Bielsa sacking not reflecting well on them. I don't know, man.
Or maybe they're just tired. They've had two managers that have pressed them into oblivion. They run abnormal amount during a game, and then although they're top athletes, and I do appreciate that, they've had a number of injuries which compound how much running individuals have to do because they don't have backups anymore. And potentially on top of that, it's a character problem. So I do think the style of play certainly hasn't helped them. I know there's negatives to high press, and that is injuries and it's tired players.
But Jesse Marsh did mention the fact that they have been overtrained by Bielsa, and that's why they found themselves in that position, because they just couldn't carry on a game for 90 minutes. And probably also the reason why they have so many yellow cards is because they broke a record, I think, the Premier League, because they would just make tired challenges all the time.
Yeah.
538 have it that the three teams are on this likely to go down. So Everton are 9% according to 538.
Mm-hmm.
Burnley 41%, and Leeds 49%.
So it's tight. It really is tight
between Burnley and Leeds. Everton.
I think a 10% chance of Everton going down at this stage is actually a bit kind.
No, they play Watford next, so they play.
They're
going
to win against Watford. If they don't win against Watford, then I really hope they go down.
Well, they don't deserve to stay up if they don't beat Watford. If they don't beat Watford, they don't deserve to stay up, especially with the disgraceful
I had a look at Watford. I can't get over how bad Watford's form is, and also Roy Hodgson's just
disgraceful. That was so muggy. That was actually awful. I mean, I know you're an old man, but you can walk halfway across the stadium to clap your fans.
Acknowledge them. It feels to me like, and I am a Liverpool fan. Of course, I have hard feelings about Roy Hodgson, so bias, maybe, but that's unprofessional. I can't believe I'm saying this about a 70-something-year-old that's been in the game for decades.
That's what happens when you get old, though. You go,
he just doesn't care. Yeah, he doesn't
came
matter
back for one last paycheck. Just came back for one last paycheck, and it annoys me.
It's looking like that.
And I don't want to use strong words, but relegations matter to families and the players, the playing staff, backroom staff, and all other staff in Watford as a football club as a whole take pay cuts. Relegations affect people, so you have to care about people at the club. From the very start, he's been so defeatist about it.
I'd be very surprised I'd hope that Watford's apart from the playing staff and the coaching staff, I hope that the rest of the wages aren't dependent on which league they're in.
Probably
considering how they are.
Considering they'd know that they were very likely to go down in the first place, I'd hope they're not that sly and like the dinner lady said, 30% wage drop, love.
I don't think it'll be that much. No.
You better chop them potatoes a bit faster.
Yeah, I'll tell you who will hit very hard. Burnley. If they go down, there's stuff about Burnley Football Club having to pay back millions.
But the thing is that I can't understand.
It's based on a leveraged buyout, so it's like buying a house with a mortgage, and then I suppose the house itself blows up.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you have to go buy another house with that house, sort of thing.
Well, but on top of that, I don't understand how Burnley are in debt. They don't spend any money on transfers. They've got a really low, relatively, a fairly low wage budget. Yeah, but on top of that, I mean, they've been in the Premier League and a long time now, especially with the TV revenue. Must be a really mismanaged club.
It's the new owners, George. They've done a leveraged buyout, just like United. So they probably weren't in debt, but then they went and bought the club with debt, and
Yeah.
then they've
Yeah.
only had them for just this summer they came in. They haven't had them for too long, like.
No, I think it's
A
been a year and a half, something like that.
a year and a half of Burnley transfers, and they actually spent more money this summer than they had in ages and bought
Yeah.
Nathan
Yeah. That's
Collins.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, and Cornet, of course, and then Valfi, of course, this summer. So, yeah, some spend there. I'll tell you what's mad is that fourth from bottom, according to expected points, is Leicester City, who made the conference semifinal. Roma made the final. Congrats to Tammy there. Many taps on Tammy there.
Yeah, it was amazing that actually just
He
touching that.
was.
There's some nice videos of him just taking in the fans. The fans absolutely love him,
A sellout crowd.
as they should do, as he should be adored.
Yeah.
And then there's nice wee video of him with a young fan with a Abraham shirt on.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
just
that in an
great.
airport. Or
It's
something.
just great to see. Absolutely delightful.
But then Roma went on to lose the last league game against Fiorentina by 2-0 and lost ground on them in the challenge
Yeah.
for a European spot, especially.
And then also, just tonight, Crystal Palace announced that their two players of the season were Mark Gurhey and Conor Gallagher. So Mark Gurhey won Player of the Year, and then Conor Gallagher won
Ouch.
Fans Player of the Year.
Ouch. So
But
Tammy Abraham,
Gallagher, we're gonna get back. Mark Gurhey, it just
gone.
shows how good the Chelsea academy is. First year not being on Chelsea's books, and he's won Players Player of the Year, which is.
You look at like in history as well, and in just to touch on that, Reece James won Wigan Player of the Year.
Captain in their last game, they were so impressed with him.
Tomori won Derby Player of the Year, I believe, and he's also, I think, did so at AC Milan or got an award at AC Milan.
And AC Milan are league leaders by 2 points now.
Yeah,
Napoli are out of it. Inter
it's
by 2 points.
Yeah, it's interesting that just Chelsea's spread on the world. You know, we touch a load of different.
You influence the footballing world, but you know what else you do? You let amazing players go, and it's poor. And on that note, I will we'll leave it there for you two. Fergal, you got some sleep. You do still sound shattered and like you need some sleep. George, I know you have stuff to attend to as well. So, thank you guys. Thank you for a good half hour there. But at the very last, final word on predictions who's gonna go down, and treat this as your final prediction.
I honestly don't want to give one.
You don't want to give a prediction? Okay, fine. We'll leave it.
It's changed I'd hate to go back and clip up every time I've been asked this. It's going to be any team.
He's named every single. Yeah.
I don't think I've stuck with it once.
Southampton are going to go down. No, never mind. I mean, we made league predictions and we're going to reflect on that later on. Good God, these are terrible.
Oh, they're awful. I don't want to touch it. I'd rather not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I looked at it and I have a couple really bad ones, but then there's a lot of ones that are generally in the right spot.
I feel like I'm the same. George is just shaking his head.
Yeah, mine's really bad. Mine's really, really bad.
All right. We'll see about that in a later time. But after this break, we will be welcoming in Hi, Harry.
Evening, mate. How we doing?
Doing good. You had cutting words towards Arsenal despite a win. Explain.
Yeah, I did.
You were there, weren't you?
I was there, yeah. Which I have to say, it's better when you're there than when you're watching on the TV, because at least when you're in the ground, you feel like you're kind of, even though you're not, you feel like you're contributing towards it, kind of in some way with the energy you kind of give off. When you're watching on TV, you're just shouting at a screen, and it's just horrible. Like last week at West Ham. Yeah, I wasn't happy. I basically said something along the lines of they keep doing this to me every single week.
Yeah.
Basically referring to the fact that no matter how well we play, and we've played well in a lot of games this season, and we've got the third most wins after City and Liverpool, which, is pretty impressive for the youngest side in the league.
It's surprising given the list of stats you rattled off a few episodes ago.
Yeah, I know it's been quite the turnaround since then. I might have to get some more out ahead of the game on Thursday. But
Reverse
I think
cursing.
the thing is, yeah, exactly. I don't have the stats to hand, but it feels like there's been a lot of 1-goal victories this season, right? And all the tables you look at in terms of expected goals against, and expected points, they'll all have us fourth. We're deservedly where we are.
Yes.
And we deserve to win the game on Sunday, and we've deserved to win many of the games we've won by a goal this season. It hasn't been luck. I think the problem is, and what I'm kind of worried about, is when you leave it that close, you're always partial to, a freak result, an undeserved result. And that's kind of what we got against Southampton and Brighton to an extent, where I don't think we deserve to lose those games. Maybe we deserve to win them, but it was tight enough that the goal didn't go our way and it went the opposition's way, rather than when you look at the top sides, and obviously you're a fan of one of them, they kind of just put it beyond doubt most weeks. Obviously they win by a goal occasionally. I think the reason my back was up particularly on Sunday is because we started the game so well, scored 2 goals, and then they go down to 10 men. And for about 40 minutes or whatever it was between that and then them getting back in it from obviously their first shot, I mean, it just feels like everything's kind of going into the back of our net at the moment, I've got to say. It was so comfortable. It was like a pre-season, friendly. Yeah. The tempo the game was getting played at. And it was one of those where Leeds had sort of accepted defeat. They brought, I think it was Pascal Strike on, went to a back 5. And played to keep the score down, even though their goal difference is terrible. Obviously, you don't want to get thrashed in terms of morale. Arteta's never going to say this, the player's never going to admit it. But I think you kind of start thinking about Thursday a little bit. Just a little bit. I think it's more of a subconscious thing, and you sort of think, okay, well, obviously we need to be professional here, and we kept the ball and passed it round, and we did have chances and should have scored more than 2 goals. And then they get back in it, and it's just... It wasn't deserved, obviously. As I said, it was their first shot. It was a corner, which I just knew we were going to concede from a corner, given all the praise that's been heaped on us recently with our corner record this season. I mean, better in that game than on Thursday. But it's just frustrating. I think that when I look at our team, and we're doing a lot good this season, there's a lot of progress that's been made in terms of the players we've brought in terms of the way we're playing, the results we're getting. There's a lot to like. And obviously Arteta's, since we've last recorded, been rewarded with a new contract, which, as I said a few weeks ago, I thought he would be anyway.
Yeah.
And especially after a good recent run. So it's all positive in that sense. But he said it, and I agree with this. We need to kind of add a ruthless streak. You need to get the 3rd goal, get the 4th goal, and the game's over then. And I think as long as we leave the back door open, we could get done. And as I said, it wasn't the performance as such. I didn't think we, it's not like we played badly. I just think we weren't quite ruthless enough. And maybe you get that with a young side. Maybe you get that with a side that doesn't necessarily have, an established seasonal goal scorer. We kind of share it around a bit more. Just cutting edge, I think. But overall, obviously, I'm very pleased with where we're at. There's 3 games of the season left, and we're 4 points clear in 4th. Now, obviously, that can change given the game on Thursday, which feels... I mean, it's huge, really. It's the biggest game we've played against Tottenham, certainly probably since we beat them or drew with them to win the league in 2004. The stakes are really high. And I'm pleased we've got a bit of a buffer, I think, because I think it makes it easier to approach psychologically rather than being, say, 2 points ahead and you've got it all to lose. If we win there, we're in the top 4. That's it. So it's there to be gained.
If you win... The difference becomes 7 points.
That's it. There's 7 points with 2 games left. We've done it. And what a motivation for this young group to go to your biggest rivals, go to the team that are chasing you for top 4, and if you win over 90 minutes, I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered for this, but it would be like winning a trophy. When I think about it, right, if we beat Spurs on Thursday and finish 4th, am I going to remember that more, or the 2015 FA Cup final against Aston Villa, where we beat them 4-0, and it was probably one of the easiest 90-minute non-affairs of my lifetime?
You have a point, actually, because when you think about it, first of all, this is huge in terms of Arsenal haven't qualified for the Champions League since Cazorla got his Achilles injury. That feels like forever ago, 16-17. Was the last season of the Champions League, and now you've had all of the squad have been overturned. You've had to go through seasons in the Europa League, seasons without Europe, Unai Emery, stuff like this, and then now you go to Tottenham, who have been in the Champions League final in 2019, so 2 years after your last appearance in the Champions League, and look at the difference now. Tottenham are now just in the Europa League, and you're in the Champions League again. So I get where you're coming from. Hopefully,
yeah.
For you, of course, I don't care.
There's a lot of reasons why it's big, actually, but I think in terms of this group and what it would do, and the manager, I include him in that, what it would do psychologically to beat your biggest rivals and beat a manager like Antonio Conte to the last Champions League place, I think it's huge. And I think it's huge also in terms of what we can sell to possible targets in the summer. Now, I know it's only one season. You got to the next bit is staying in the Champions League.
Yeah,
absolutely. People have pointed out, like, we've had it our own way this season in terms of the schedule. We've been able to benefit from having a small squad, and you've seen in the last few weeks that everybody's on the boat. People like El Neni, people like Eddie Nketiah and Rob Holding, and even Cedric and Tavares. While they're flawed players, there's no question that they're fully on board mentally. These guys are ready to come in and play.
Hey, El Nani came on, and once he started, you've won every game since.
He's been excellent, and I've been a big critic of his, and I need to give him his flowers. He's been really, really, really good in the last 4 games. He's hit levels that I don't think many people could come in, having played as little as he had this season. I think he'd started 1 league game previous to that, which was in December, the start of December. And it's like he'd been playing all season, and he, for all his faults, I think he is one of those players that you can drop in and you kind of know what you're going to get from him. And it's been exactly what we've needed in there. A bit of stability, reliability. I think in terms of attitude and commitment, there's never been any doubting the guy. And I think he deservedly is going to get a new contract. And I honestly did not think I'd be saying that a few weeks ago. So it is good. Everybody's on side. I still have a bad feeling that there could be another twist. It's a hard game, Tottenham. There's a lot of reasons why they're going to want to beat us.
We couldn't win against them this season at all, as didn't Man City.
They're a good side. They're a good side. They're a good side, as much as it pains me to say it. We obviously postponed the last derby, which they keep telling us how angry they were about that. We beat them heavily in the derby at the Emirates earlier this season. It was 3-0 inside 30-odd minutes. And they need to win. So it's going to be a bear pit. It's going to be a very, very hostile atmosphere those players walk into on Thursday. I think they'll know what to expect, if I'm honest, because it's been building up to it for so long. Since January, really, everybody kind of knew that this game was going to be backlogged. It was going to be near the end of the season, and it was going to be huge. The stakes riding on it. Yeah. So, enormous game. I wouldn't mind just waking up on Friday and not having to experience any of this. Waking up on Friday. Yeah. But it's an opportunity that I didn't think would be there at the start of the season. And I don't just mean beating Spurs. I mean being 4th at this stage. I mean, we looked at our predictions earlier. No one had Arsenal 4th. So
no, I certainly didn't.
You certainly didn't.
Certainly, definitely didn't. We'll talk about that after the end of the season. I think we're going to do an episode about this.
Absolutely, mate. You're going to have to relitigate putting Everton above Arsenal on the table.
Oh yeah. I will have to. We were just talking to George and Fergal about Everton earlier, and their kind of relegation battle, although they've kind of escaped that already. I want to take your take about. Let's take your score prediction on Thursday. I'm fascinated by this. I'm sorry, but just give me as objective a score prediction. We don't do this in big games on this podcast. We don't. So let's do it now. What's your score prediction?
I think, for the reasons I've just mentioned, I think it's going to be very difficult for us to win. I think we'll have to play very well to get anything. I can't predict us to lose. I have to be honest with you. It's not an attitude I want to go in with. I think us losing is probably more likely than us winning if you're looking at kind of the probability of outcomes, because they're at home. North London derbies generally go with the home team. I think the last time one was won by an away side was 2014. I think it will be a draw. I think it will be cagey. I think that the fact that Tottenham have to win probably suits us more, because They like to play on the counter attack, and kind of I didn't want to have to be going into this game needing to win because I'd say that suits them down to the ground. So, but then it's one of those like, does Arteta send them in with the attitude of, we only need a draw? I don't think you can do that either, because if you play for a
No,
draw,
you
then
can't.
you're not going to get any more than a draw, and most likely you'll probably lose.
Yeah.
So I'll say 1-1. I think if we score first, I think we'll be all right. I think if they score first and it's early, it's going to be difficult for us because of sort of the atmosphere around it. We're not a good team at playing from behind, is well documented. I'm going to tentatively predict a 1-1 draw.
I think I agree with you. I think it will be one of those that Arsenal are gonna be quite tentative. I think in January,
Spurs as well.
Spurs too. They are scared.
Have to win. There's pressure on Spurs. Like, as much as you've seen it kind of a lot this week, they've tried to put the pressure back on us, and it's like classic mind games, isn't it? And they might thrive off it. I might look a complete idiot off this, and it honestly wouldn't surprise me. I've long given up trying to predict these games, but there's pressure on Tottenham. They have to win. Everyone was expecting them to finish above us when they brought Conte in, I think. That was the idea behind it. This is a world-class manager now. These are players in Son and Kane and some of these other guys that are in their primes, and these are the guys to do the job now. So the pressure is on them. If they don't win, then you'd say that's it. I'd expect us to win one of our last 2 games. If it was a draw and we were 4 points clear, we'd only need 1 win. And I think we'd get that. So Tottenham are under pressure. Obviously, we're under pressure. But as I said, there's an opportunity there. So
Yeah.
You just got to go in with the right attitude. But it's going to be a horrible, horrible, horrible day and a horrible 90 minutes. But hopefully, just a glorious aftermath, and that makes it all worth it in the end.
I'm thinking right now as well. We say it kind of popped up in my head to ask you the score prediction. I didn't do a score prediction on the FA Cup final with an admittedly very tired for the day Fergal and George, who expressed pessimism towards Chelsea and how bad they are.
Yeah.
Fergal straight up said Everton could win against Chelsea, and yeah, it's just Everton beat Chelsea and therefore Leeds could beat Chelsea. So
this is the thing. We could have the opportunity to go third by Thursday if Chelsea don't win.
You're only a point behind. Just 1 point behind,
isn't it?
It's amazing to think about how Chelsea were in the middle of the title race with us too, Liverpool and City. But
falling apart.
It could happen. Speaking of the FA Cup final, though, I think we win. But I do think that's the only trophy we win this season. Just for the rest of it, just to put that
along with the League Cup.
Along with out of the ones that are left, I think we only get the FA Cup because I've long maintained Real Madrid are going to win the Champions League. That's since the round of 16, really, when they knocked out PSG.
It does feel like it. It's felt like it one of those years where it has the name on the trophy, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it will be a horrible day. Another horrible day. We'll talk about it near the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spoke to the boys about the relegation battle, Harry. And speaking of Leeds and the possibility that they might win against Chelsea, as Fergal said, which I think is outrageous, it's not going to happen. Where do you see it? So the situation right now, just to recap very quickly, Leeds and Burnley tied on points at 34. Leeds are 18 goals behind on goal difference, so a tie on points is pretty much a points difference for Burnley. That Everton play Watford next, 1 game behind, 1 point ahead. Where do you see it?
I think Everton are safe now. I think that given their fixtures, until they play us on the final day, which I'm hoping by then will be irrelevant, and I think it will be, their next 3 games, they could effectively win 2 of them, and they're probably going to be all right. I don't see Leeds winning. I struggle to see Leeds winning any of their remaining games, but I certainly don't think they'll win 2. And then you're looking at those 2 teams. As you mentioned, the goal difference, that is like an extra point to Burnley. That's the reason they currently sit 17th. When I look at Burnley's fixtures, again, they're not easy. They play Spurs next. I'll be obviously hoping that they can get something there. Then they travel to Aston Villa, who beat them last week. And then they've got Newcastle, who you just don't know. They've got nothing to lose on the last day, Newcastle, so it's one of those that sort of could go either way.
And have been battered by Man City. Is this the comeback?
Yeah.
The come down.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably be fresh off a win against us, though, on the Monday Night Football. So,
oh, God. Yeah.
I
Maybe.
think it go. What I'll say, I think it goes to the last day between those two teams, and I think,
Mm.
I'll say Leeds stay up for FJC's sake.
Leeds stay up for FJC's
Yeah,
sake.
the only thing with Burnley, like they've had a good run, and you just kind of worry if they peaked a little bit early with it, with the little bounce they had under Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know. The games aren't easy, and as I said, like it might only take one win from either team to do it. But I think Everton is like my most confident prediction there is Everton will be fine because I think they, as you said, they play Watford next, who are already relegated
Yeah.
and terrible at home. I think it's something like 8 or 9 home losses in a row. Like really, really bad. It might even be more to be honest, but it's something like that. And then they've got Palace and Brentford at home, and they're good at home under Lampard. So
Yeah.
I think Everton will be fine. I think it's between those two teams, and I'll just say Leeds survive.
I'm gonna say Leeds are gonna go down. It's gonna break my heart.
Between
Because
those
I quite
two,
like
right? I
Leeds.
think, even though it's not going to be, even though you'd want it to be Everton, I
I
think,
would have loved, and I was telling them earlier, I would have loved it to be Everton, but
yeah,
don't
I
see it.
think they've done well the last 2 games. You got to give it to them. That
Yeah.
I don't think many people saw them taking 6 points.
Out of Chelsea and Leicester City, I mean,
Yeah, I thought they'd take 0. I have to be honest with you.
yeah. Leicester are foolish. Leicester are fourth from bottom
Well,
in
Leicester,
unexpected points.
I think they're third from bottom in some models. They've been
Yeah.
awful,
I've seen some models
absolutely
that
awful.
have them third from bottom. It's
Yeah, they've been
outrageous.
really. It's kind of gone under the radar this season. I think and I know they've had injury problems, but 14th is. Let's put it this way: the talk last season was how they replaced Arsenal in the Big Six or whatever. If Arsenal was at 14th, you'd be hearing a lot more about it than you, and deservedly so because we are in that Big Six. That was a load of nonsense, obviously, but that is a criminal. And as you said, they're lucky to be 14th. It's not like they've been unlucky. They've been lucky to actually be as high as they are. The performances, especially defensively, they are dreadful defensively.
Yeah.
Absolutely dreadful. Really bad. Yeah, shocking season from Leicester.
Yeah, absolutely shocking. Their set piece record, I think, is gonna
Oh,
stay in their heritage of
it
the
certainly
story
will
of
live
the
long in the
season
memory.
context. It will. All right. The one last thing. This happened earlier today. It's been confirmed. Man City have bought Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, they did need a striker, to be fair. They already got Julian Alvarez, as people forget. Just like leave the best players in the world for other. I don't know.
I know it's greedy, isn't it?
I'm
It's
jealous.
greedy.
I'm jealous. I think Erling Haaland's gonna absolutely smash it. But
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think he'll smash it when he plays. But I'm sort of just looking at his injury record, and it's kind of quite a bit's been made of that, especially for a young player. He's only what 22. I mean, he's missed a lot of minutes for a player at that age. He's missed 42 days, 35, 28, 14, 11, 11. He seems to get quite a lot of not long injuries. He's not had a long layoff, but it's kind of knocks here and there. That would be the only thing. I think he's obviously one of the biggest up and coming talents, and Man City need a striker. It doesn't move the needle for me that much though, because they're already a world class team. People saying is this going to win them the Champions League? I mean, I think their Champions League problems aren't tactical. Bar probably the Liverpool one. I think they've been the better team in probably all the ties, and they just haven't got it done for one reason or another. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Like, how do you index knockout football? It's a bit freakish. You can get unlucky, but then I suppose when you've had 6 years, it's kind of a large enough sample size to say whether patterns emerge. Do you know what I mean? I
Need
think
more ruthlessness, I
domestic.
think.
Yeah, I just think domestically they're already good, and okay, they'll probably get better, but it's not like they're going to win every game, is it? Like, I'm not that big on it, mate. I must be honest. I think they're already a world-class team. I think Liverpool are a world-class team. I think it obviously makes it more difficult for all the other sides, but it's not like any of them are anywhere near anywhere, if we're being honest. Chelsea are nowhere near. Arsenal and Spurs have a lot of work to do, and fuck knows about Man United. I mean, so it doesn't change loads for me. Like maybe it makes a few points difference next season. Maybe that is what it is. Maybe they, do another Centurions, but I don't know. It doesn't move me that much. Not because he's not a good player, just because I just think that you're adding a great player to an already great team. That's my assessment of it.
it does a lot for me, to be honest. And
I'm surprised to hear that.
Bundesliga taxes,
I
a
wasn't
cliche
even
that is
factoring that
kind
in.
of true.
Yeah,
I know, but just to mention his Bundesliga record: 66 games, 61 goals, 16 assists. I mean, it is mad. So whenever I wonder how that will translate into the Premier League, of course. But I do think he will maintain that record because he'll only get better. So I've tweeted about this. The only thing I hope for is that he kind of works out like Lukaku, where he just doesn't fit in a highly complex system where he has to carry out very specific roles that it's not his style, just like Lukaku is with Tuchel. So that's my only hope. But I do think if he does work out, it means a Champions League title for City, in my opinion. But let's see. There's a long summer ahead. There's still loads to factor in after months from now.
I struggle when it comes to City in the Champions League. I really do. That it reminds me of Arsenal in the early 2000s, where at points we were clearly the best team in Europe, and we just could not get it done for one reason or another. Had this sort of mental block where we would lose to worse teams than us. And I'm not putting it all on Guardiola, but he's not won a Champions League since 2011.
Since Lionel Messi was 23 years old.
He is a world-class manager, but you have to look at it and say, does he struggle with the nature of knockout football, where there is more chaos to it? It's not this controlled, methodical week to week. If City lose a game in the league, they don't really give a fuck because they'll go and string 10 wins in a row together and kind of make up for it quite quickly. On that freakish day, that off day, Palace this season, for example, they lost 2-0. I think they won the next 14 or whatever it was. It doesn't seem to bother. Whereas in knockout football, obviously, if you do that, the Real Madrid, you have a bad 20 minutes, you're out. That's it for the season. So, look, we'll see. We'll see. You could well be right. There's no reason to think he'll come in and make them worse. I'm sure they'll get better, but it's just whether those kind of marginal gains are going to get them over the line in the Champions League, which is obviously is the thing on the bucket list. But remains to be seen, mate. There's it's a lot of speculation, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, remains to be seen. We are aware there's a lot more that happened in football this week, including European finals that we will preview before closer to the time. But Roma qualifying for the final was great. And then we have the Champions League final, of course.
Yeah, Mourinho's in tears.
Mourinho's in tears. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just the conference, isn't it? So.
Well, I was going to say, what do you make of this? Because I saw one of the ESPN people tweeted this. I think it's the fella that Jim Alcott does some work with, isn't it?
The fella that Jim Alcott does.
Yeah.
That's ours.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. He was sort of slandering the importance of the competition, but it's all relative, isn't it? I suppose. With the greatest respect to Roma and sort of the teams in it, they aren't going to be competing for the Champions League, or even probably. I mean, Roma could probably compete for the Europa League, but some of the teams in there can't. So, if it gives the fans sort of a rush getting to a final, winning a trophy, then I don't know. I don't see why you'd downplay the importance of that. That's what football's about.
Yes, and I slagged just like everybody else. It felt quite weird that you have a third-tier European competition. But
yeah, I don't like it. I don't want to be playing in it. But for teams like that clearly, Tottenham didn't take it seriously this season. They were in it and they're not in the final. So
yeah,
you still have to win it. They beat Leicester to get there, who admittedly have had a terrible season, but you still got to do it. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll have previews to those closer to the time.
Yeah.
I did want to say one thing before we finish. Quick shout out to Wycombe Wanderers.
Wycombe Wanderers!
Keep defying the odds. Off to the playoff final next Saturday.
Of the Chair Boys.
Come on, the lads. It's sort of David versus Goliath up against Sunderland, really.
Yeah.
Who do
you think goes up?
Oh, no. I know. I can't say Sunderland, even though... everything would suggest that they will. They finished above them in the table, working with a bigger budget.
Doesn't necessarily mean they'll go up. They haven't gone up.
No, I mean Wycombe have already done it once. They've already gone up once with the worst metrics in the league. Why can't they do it again?
Yeah. All right, let's back Wickham. And then I know quite a few of your friends support Wickham.
That's right.
Yeah, and all right. In terms of championship playoffs, I enjoyed the goal that Luton Town scored to get into the playoffs.
Lovely.
Into the playoffs.
Absolutely lovely against
And for
Reading,
that
I
reason,
mean,
I'm backing Luton Town at the playoffs.
Luton Town,
Either them or
yeah,
Forest. Let's have a Luton Town Forest playoff final, I think.
Yeah, they fell off at the end of the season, Luton, didn't they?
Yeah,
They were third, and then they've kind of scraped into sixth on the last day, admittedly by 5 points in the end, but it did get a bit sticky.
Yeah, losing to Fulham 7-0.
Yeah, I find it
Process.
difficult to predict. I don't watch loads of the championship, but what I will say is when I look at the 4 teams in there, I think Nottingham Forest or Luton appeal to me far more than Sheffield United or Huddersfield, just because I've been there and seen it with those teams.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, let's have this play final.
I mean, Luton, I don't know if you've seen the entry to one of the stands. It is, like, literally you're next door to someone's, like, living room. I don't know if I could, like, pull
Really?
this up.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know this. I know how small their stadium is and all, and how low their budget is overall.
Yeah, so look at this. Look, I don't know how well you can see.
He is showing me the Oak Stand, and it's just
got the Oak Stand, and it is literally next door to,
neighbors.
People's living rooms.
Wow,
Yeah.
like you go through an apartment building or like
genuinely, there's like if you
detached
Google
houses.
if you Google it and have a look, there's literally people's like apartments.
That is-
houses above it and next to it. It's brilliant.
That is amazing.
That's a bit of me. That is. Imagine Ronaldo there next season.
Yeah, let's go, Luton. Let's go,
I think
Luton.
that stand, I could be wrong, is right by the away end. So I mean, that is just fantastic.
I don't know how I would feel if I was living in those one of those apartments, but it would be free viewing. I think, like, I don't know how it would work, but I imagine they have some form of access to the games. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
Kenilworth Road, what stadium?
Kenilworth Road. All right, I'm getting Luton Town. If not Luton Town, then
Luton
Forest.
or Forest. I won't be
Forest.
bitter about Forest because
Yeah,
when
not at
they
all.
beat us in the FA Cup again, at least
Yep.
teams can go, yep, they're a Premier League team now. Like, it's not such a giant killing all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah, and new face. They haven't been in there forever. And one last shout out to Bristol Rovers. That we can't go without mentioning the 7-0 thing.
Is that the 21 minutes of added time or whatever it was?
Yeah, because the crowd are flooding the stadium. But
Yeah,
it's been
just
there as we
brilliant.
covered. I just wanted to acknowledge it and back them with the playoffs too. All right, there's
you
your
go.
3 promoted teams. Let's go.
Well
All
said.
right. Thank you, Harry. Thank you to Fergo and
Yeah,
George
mate.
as well. And FA Cup final coming on Saturday. We'll be obviously talking about that. Oh gosh, it's another JAFP derby.
I like these. I just sit back and
go.
just kind of watch the chaos, mate.
Watch the chaos unfold, and then think about the 3 of us. How it's gonna, how we feel.
Look forward to it.
Look forward to it. Let's do it. Saturday, we're gonna have a poll out on Twitter, I think. But so keep an eye out on that. Quite like those polls and seeing what the people think. And we'll talk about it in the episode next week. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Enjoy your rest of your weeks. The football. There's football all the way up to Thursday, including the North London derby of the decade. Harry, good luck.
Thank you, mate.